Since we're talking about sirens and the demonic marine kingdom, I have to share with you guys a situation that happened with my family. I am Haitian, I'm Caribbean. Something that happened with my family that I truly believe had to do with sirens or mermaids, if you want to call them that. If you've been watching my channel, this one or my main, you know that we have been talking about the book of Enoch. Disclaimer, I do not read the book of Enoch as scripture. I read it as lore or mythology. Oh yeah, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. None of it's real. It's all fake. Anyway, let's get into the tea. So my grandmother, she lived in Haiti and she had 12 kids. 2 of her children looked almost like twins, but they weren't twins. One was a girl, one was a boy. Now, oftentimes when the boy, I'm not going to say my uncle's name, would get in trouble and wasn't allowed to go out with his friends, he would dress up as my aunt that he looked like. So one night he was in trouble and my grandmother said, you need to stay inside. So he dressed up like my aunt. He was wearing very sparkly things from what I hear, and he was dressed, in girls' clothing to be able to sneak out. His friends wanted him to come out on the water at night. Now, if you know about sirens in the Caribbean, if you know any Haitians or Jamaicans, ask their family, and I promise you, they have a story about sirens. You are not supposed to bring shiny things. You are not supposed to go to the water at night. He did a mixture of both. While he was out there on the water with his friend, he fell overboard because I believe they were on a boat or they were night swimming. I'm not sure. These are just details I've put together from hearing story from different parts of my family. He was in the water at night and all of a sudden he was gone, without a trace, gone. Now, my uncle was a very good swimmer, like an avid swimmer. He never would be close to drowning, and everyone attested to that. He was gone without a trace. Now, you would think that it could probably be something like a whirlpool or anything, but most of the time you're going to hear some kind of splashing. Someone around you is going to notice that you're going down in a whirlpool. No one heard a thing. Every day after that, for months, my grandmother went to the ocean with a towel expecting him to come back, but he never did. Her heart was broken, and no one can tell me that there isn't something sinister involved in that. Ever since my mind has been open about all this siren stuff, I can't put it past the sea to have something like that going on. Do you know how many stories in the Caribbean there are of people literally going to the ocean and offering shiny things to these demonic marine spirits and having encounters with them, going into the water at night and coming back out a different person? I truly believe that this is real, like genuinely. But yeah, guys, I just felt like I wanted to share that because it seems like you guys are all really interested in this. And if you want me to make another series delving deeper into and looking up more accounts of things like this in other countries, definitely let me know and I'll do that for you guys. But as always, make sure you like and follow.
Hi guys, you're welcome back into my channel. In today's story, we're going to talk about mermaids and sirens. If it's a story that you're interested in, kindly stay tuned. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also drop your thoughts in the comment section. Without wasting much time, let's delve into the story together.
I don't know what's going on in the aquatic world right now, but I'm telling you right now, these sirens are coming out in full force. I don't know if they want us to know that they're here or what the situation is, but I got a couple stories I want to share with you, and if you're not a believer of sirens, you will be after this. Now, as I was saying, sirens are real, and if you don't believe me, you will after this video. And no, I'm not talking about the mermaids like on Little Mermaid. How many times do I have to say this, guys? These are sirens. Sirens are not all beautiful and cute and cuddly and want to be your friend. Sirens want to take your soul. They want your essence. They want you. They do not want to be your friend. So get that out of your head. Okay? Now, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but like in 2012, 2013-ish, there was a sighting of a siren that went viral. And this was back in the YouTube days, right? So it was a pretty big thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm fixing to show you. So these 2 guys, they were on a boat that was pretty deep in the ocean. And they were recording, they just happened to record a siren going by. The siren literally went like this on the window. It hit the window. And when the siren hit the window, you could see her face, the hand, and her tail. Like, it was crazy. And it was a big thing. If you don't remember this or you just don't know what I'm talking about, here's that clip. I didn't see that before. There it is.
They're going to threaten you with legal action.
Exactly. So we discussed it as a crew, and because we are Danes and Greenland is a part of Denmark, we thought we could go to the Danish authorities. So we did.
Now, they were warned that if they talked about it or told anyone about it or tried to pursue this siren or mermaid, that legal action would be taken against them. And Greenland also issued this warning after this sighting, saying that they were putting licensing on hold because people were trying to go find this mermaid. Greenland halts new oil drilling licenses. So no one could get any new licenses because people were trying to go see what was going on and see if they could find this mermaid. But government reluctant to hand out new permits while exploration under existing licenses will be subject to more scrutiny. Come on now. I have taken this video and adjusted the settings. This is the hand. Like, what? That is part of the tail. Like, what, y'all? Like, this is crazy. And this right here is the head, that's the neck, and that's the shoulder right there. Peace sign. She's like, hey. Look at her face, though. What is that? Like, y'all, this is wild. There's another one of her face. Is this not, like, amazing? I'm in awe of this. Like, it is amazing. This is an actual siren. Like, they were so lucky to see this, to witness this. You know what I mean? Like, what? That is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right there. But yeah, they were told that if they pursued this, then they would be prosecuted. But really, that kind of says everything. I just think that story is awesome. It's one of the very first sightings of a siren that came out whenever YouTube was a big thing. And so, like, it's actually stuck with me for years. Now, there's a lot of stories about people being kidnapped by mermaids, sirens, and a lot of times it ends in tragedy, but a lot of times these people do come back. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but mermaids do kidnap people and they make them their slaves. Yes, mermaids are real and they do kidnap people to make them their slaves. This is why I tell you guys that mermaids are not what Disney makes them out to be. Mermaids are miscreants of the sea. They are not the cuddly, sweet, fun-loving, singing mermaids that Disney portrays them to be. They're actually very mischievous, can be evil. They kidnap people, and they make them their slaves. They torture people. They unalive people. Sirens can be very mischievous and very evil. So don't trust what Disney tells you a siren or a mermaid is. That's not true. But I have another siren story for y'all. Like, this one is insane. So this next story involves this girl who's 8 years old. She went to the river with her family, and while she was at the river, she come up missing, and they would not see her for 40 years. Yes, you heard me correctly. She disappeared when she was 8, and she didn't come back for 40 years. This is around the area that it happened in Winezi, I'm not sure on how you pronounce it, Zimbabwe. She went fishing with her brothers and their wives, and as they were fishing, she caught a small fish. And you know, whenever you get a fish out of water, it starts flopping around. Well, she dropped the fish. And while everyone was packing up to get ready to leave, she went back to the river to rinse the fish off, to get the dirt off of it, and that's when she disappeared. So the police and everyone searched the area very thoroughly, and after they couldn't find her, they just assumed that a crocodile or some other animal had gotten to her. But the family really didn't believe that. The family knew that there was something else going on and that she was still alive. So they started going to these traditional healers and having divination done. And they were told to do these rituals. And these rituals that they had to do would one day help her to come back home. When they went to these healers told them, no matter what you do, do not hold a funeral for her. So these healers told them that she was alive and that the mermaids had her. Now in Zimbabwe, whenever they think that someone has been kidnapped by the mermaids, they do not have a funeral for them. That is normal because a lot of people go missing because of mermaids. So when they think someone's been kidnapped by a mermaid, they will not have a funeral. So the family goes to several different healers, and all of these healers tell them what they need to do to bring this baby girl home. And they're supposed to do it several times throughout the year. So the family does these rituals several times a year for 40 years. And they did these rituals to make the mermaids happy so that the mermaids would bring their baby back home. So as they're doing these rituals, things start happening, like really, really weird things. Like they started losing money. They started having misfortunes. The little girl started appearing to them as a spirit or apparition, begging them to come save her and bring her back home. Now remember, in Zimbabwe, this apparition or the spirit that they see is just confirmation, letting them know that she's still alive. Because in the United States, when we see a spirit, we automatically think that the person is unalived. So because her family saw the apparition, they knew that baby girl was still alive, just that the mermaids had her. Now remember, as the years go on, this family is starting to lose money. They're starting to have misfortunes. Things start happening. Like, the family cannot, get it together. Things just keep happening, right? But this is because they're not going to the right healer. So after years and years of them doing these rituals and not getting their baby girl back and getting no results and having misfortune after misfortune, they finally find the right healer. And when they find the right healer, guess what happens? Baby girl walks right on into the home. And when she walks through the door, she looks as if she is in her 20s, not almost 50. She has barely aged. Even in the article, it says that she came back as a young woman and she is not aged. Neighbors said that she was living with the female traditional healer who took her out of the water after the mermaids released her. And according to this neighbor, she only eats millet meal and she still cannot talk. Because a lot of people that are kidnapped by mermaids, their voice is stolen. They can't talk for years and years, if ever again. Sounds like Disney knew something, huh? So yeah, this is crazy, is it not, y'all? These stories are wild. What do you guys think about them? Did you guys know about these? Did you guys ever see that video? Did you guys know about these sirens? Wow. Anyways, put your thoughts below. Let me know what y'all think. Because, baby, this blew my mind.
We know what mermaids look like, but do you know what a siren looks like? Oddly, we've been brought to believe that they're one and the same, but they're absolutely two different, distinct creatures. Now, in Greek mythology, a siren is a woman that is a half-bird, half-woman creature that lures sailors to their death with their enchanting songs. Now, sirens are usually depicted as females, but there are also some that are depicted with beards. These guys are called daemons. D-A-E-M-O-N, very similar to demon. And their natural habitat is on rocky islands. In Homer's Odyssey, it said that they live on islands in the Western Sea. And sirens are known to be very dangerous creatures. But who are the sirens in the Book of Enoch? It's a very different story. Sirens, according to the Book of Enoch, were mortal human women that tempted the Watcher angels. And only later on in history did sirens become one and the same with mermaids. But the most detailed account is in the Book of Enoch, so let me tell you all about it. This is chapter 19 of the Book of Enoch, and the archangel Uriel is speaking. And Uriel said to me, "Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits assuming many different forms, and defiling mankind, and should lead them astray into demons as gods. Here shall they stand, till the day of the great judgment in which they shall be judged, till they are made an end of. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens. And I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the end of all things, and no man shall see as I have seen." Becoming a siren, therefore, was like a curse of God. But was it really a curse? If the great flood was coming, they would have survived thanks to this curse, right? So a siren is either a half-bird, half-human woman, or a half-human, half-fish. What do you think?
When I tell people that I think sirens exist, they look at me like I'm crazy, and then I look at them like they're crazy because I'm like, how do you think that we're the only ones out? And don't y'all remember when Congress said that there's a presence in the ocean, but everyone glossed over it, just like when they said UFOs exist, and all the crazy people were looking at each other like, bro, we said this like a decade ago and none of y'all believed us. But yeah, I'm looking at them crazy because bro, the ocean is absolutely crazy. I remember, I told y'all this already, but I'm gonna say it again. I remember I was on a cruise and I went out to the tip of the boat, right? And this was like in the AMs because I've always thought the ocean was so interesting and I've always felt like sirens exist, but I did not have the ability to actually pinpoint like where they come from until I read the Book of Enoch, which I read as history, not scripture. But yeah, I was at the tip of the boat and y'all, when I looked out into those waters, the water, it was so much of it and it was so dark and it was so like daunting. I just felt like I did not belong there, bro. Like, do y'all know that feeling like when someone's watching you, like you can't prove that they're watching you, but they're watching you? That's how I felt. That's literally how I felt. And it gave me the skeevies so bad that I had to go into my cabin. I just think it's crazy that there's so many fishermen that their whole entire job is to go out into the sea. And so many of them have stories of seeing sirens, scuba divers going in and then seeing sirens. What about the ocean? What about this deep abyss makes people think that it's just jellyfish and crabs in there? Like, what makes you think that? We have phenomenons like the Bermuda Triangle, eddies. Eddies are large, extremely large black holes in the ocean that are the size of Texas, can go on for months and years, and scientists do not know where they go. No scientist has been able to like actually study where eddies go. Eels, like, and these are just animals, bro. Not even getting into sirens and stuff. Eels have no reproductive organs and all go to the Bermuda Triangle. Like, they go in mass multitudes to the Bermuda Triangle to reproduce, and then they come back in numbers. Like, they come back multiplied by 10. And no scientist, again, knows how they reproduce. Like, they've never seen it. But somehow there's more and more eels. Like, are they aliens at this point? What? The ocean is crazy. So you're telling me all of this happens and you don't think that there are sirens out there, bro? You don't think, like, we literally found out that there's a mega ocean under the ocean. There's a mega ocean under the ocean, but y'all don't think...
So I was a couple days into a research expedition in the Atlantic Ocean. I couldn't sleep, so I was just on the deck of the boat, just kind of watching the water. I heard this noise. It was like this singing. There were no words. It was just like vocal notes, but it was beautiful. Every note just flowed into the next perfectly. I began to get really confused because I didn't know where it was coming from. I mean, we were in the middle of the ocean. No ships around us. The only other person on the boat was the captain, and he had been asleep for at least 3 hours at this point. So I started to check around the boat, just trying to see where this was. I went to the starboard side of the boat, and that's when I saw it. It was this woman, and she was in the water. She was beautiful. I mean, like absolutely beautiful. As I'm watching her sing, I began to just become engulfed in this trance-like state. I can't really explain it. Just all the thoughts left my mind as I was just watching her sing and listening to her. She then spoke to me. She told me to go into the water, that she wanted to swim with me, she wanted to kiss me. So I'm standing on the edge of the boat about to jump in the water, and I hear this gunshot. The captain of the boat, he was an older man, he'd been a captain his whole life. He fired his gun into the water. After he did that, the woman, she swam away, she scurried away under the water. I yelled at him, I said, she needed our help. Why would you do that? And he just looks at me, I'll never forget it. He just looks at me and he says, that wasn't a woman. So I asked him, I said, what do you mean that wasn't a woman? And he just starts to walk away at this point, and as he's walking away, he tells me, look, kid, if you went in that water, you would have never came out.
Have you ever wondered why the beaches are closed at night? Is it because there's no lifeguards? Or is it because of what's lurking in the ocean? A guy decided to test fate and go to the beach in Key Largo, Florida at night. He got to Key Largo, got to the beach, and found something that scared the living hell out of him. He recorded a siren sitting on a rock. You heard me, a siren sitting on a rock. As a matter of fact, take a look at this video. To the left of the pole, sitting right there. Look at this. Look at that.
Dude, what is that?
I've gone ahead and froze it and enlarged it as best I could. But that is the figure of a siren sitting on a rock. Very similar to this image right here, looking directly at the ocean. I've gone ahead and pulled up what a siren is for you, for those of you that don't know. Described as a dangerous, alluring creature who lured sailors to their deaths with enchanting voices. So my question to you is, does that look like a siren to you? What do you think that is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Siren story and the missing persons case? Anyone? This is the only siren story that I have, okay? It's my family story from my dad's side. Now, I only met my biological dad once, and we hung out for 3 days, and I never saw or heard from him again. But anyways, yeah, ghosted by my own daddy. But that's a video. That's for another day, okay? In those 3 days, though, that I hung out with him, we got to learn a lot about each other. And the one thing that we had in common was our interest in the occult and how we tend to attract these paranormal activity type stuff. And he shared with me a story. Now, the story takes place in Puerto Rico. My dad's about 8 years old. He lives with his mother and his uncle, his mom's brother. For a living, his uncle fished. He was a fisherman. His uncle had the reputation of being the village drunk, okay? But he was a fun man, from what my dad told me. He was very jovial, like the life of the party, very loud, like very just fun guy to be around, especially when he was drinking. My dad goes on to tell me that one day his uncle goes off to work on his little boat, like normal, nothing special about this day, except that evening, his uncle, in hysterics, busts through the door, hollering, screaming, soaking wet. His face is all bloody and he's got blood on the back of his shirt. So my daddy's mama, I guess my grandma runs in, right, to see what the hell's going on. What's all the hollering and screaming about? And when she sees the condition that her brother's in, she tells my dad to go into the room. And my dad said that he could hear, when she closed the door, that he could hear his uncle screaming something about a siren. But that his uncle was so hysterical that he couldn't get anything else that he was saying except the word siren. My dad also said that before his mama pushed him into the room and closed the door, that he got a peek at his uncle and that he saw these really big claw marks on his face. My daddy said he heard my grandma, say to the uncle, her brother, that we told you not to go that far, that she was going to come back for you. My daddy's 8 years old. He doesn't know what the fuck this means. So my daddy assumed that his uncle had been out drinking and got caught cheating. I don't know. I guess his uncle was like a philanderer or a womanizer type. You know what I mean? So my dad was thinking he got caught, and that's what the scratches from, like, whatever girl, messed him up that night. So my daddy goes on to tell me that his uncle was never the same. Okay, like I said, he was a life of the party, alcoholic, loved women, like he was that type. So he went from that to like almost nonverbal, right? And my dad said he had this look in his eyes like he was looking past you. I think they call it the 1,000-yard stare. You get that from trauma. That's what my dad said. And that he like walked around muttering to himself all the time, and no one ever understood what he was saying. It was almost like another language. His uncle also stopped going out into the water. This man was a fisherman. That was his living. Like, that's how he earned his money. So whatever the fuck went on out there scared him so bad that he didn't want to make money anymore, right? He would fish from the shore, my dad said. So a month after that whole ordeal of his uncle busting through the door, screaming on hysterically, the sleepwalking begins. My dad had told me that his uncle had absolutely no history of sleepwalking because his uncle had lived there ever since he could remember. And my dad told me he knew that his uncle was sleepwalking because when he would get up to like try to get him back to bed or like try to talk to him, that it was like he wasn't there, like he couldn't see my dad. And my dad said that his uncle would be muttering but couldn't understand him. It was like a language, a different language. And so it became a thing where my dad and my grandma had to like watch out for him every night because he would sleepwalk and try to leave the house. And a few times he actually did leave the house and would end up at the beach. So my dad said this like strange behavior goes on for about a year. And it's not until like the last 3 or 4 months, if I remember correctly. He said it's not until the last 3 or 4 months that his uncle started like coming back around to his like normal self. Like he started drinking and playing dominoes again and getting on his boat again, but never like out to the ocean like he used to. But everyone's really happy that he's making progress. The sleepwalking even stopped. Everything was almost back to normal until this one night, the last night he ever saw his uncle. So my dad says one night he's in bed and he hears someone walking around in the house. It's late at night, everyone should be sleeping. So my dad gets up to go look and he says it's his uncle. And he looks like he's sleepwalking again, doing the muttering thing. But he hadn't done this in a while, so he was kind of like, okay, but whatever, this shit again, let me get him back to bed. Except for this time, my dad said this was something different than sleepwalking. He doesn't know what the fuck it was. He said that he thought his uncle was possessed. He said his uncle looked at him in his eyes and his eyes were all black. And he told my dad, she isn't going to stop until she has me. And my dad said he was terrified, but he was just kind of like, okay, Theo, let's go back to bed. My dad said the last time he saw his uncle, he had sat him down on his bed and his uncle, all black eyes, just staring at my dad. And my dad slowly backed out of the room and closed the door and went to his room and closed his door and just laid there like, what the fuck? Eventually, my dad ends up falling asleep. He wakes up to his mom frantically looking for her brother. My father was the very last person to ever see that man. He ends up telling his mom that day what he saw the night before, how his uncle's eyes were all black, and the last words that he said were, she's not going to stop until she gets me. As soon as he tells his mother this, my grandma, he said my grandma just went into hysterics, fell into her knees and just started screaming. That's it. I'm never going to see my brother again. She's got him. She finally got him. My dad said at that very time, at that very moment, he didn't ask his mom, like, what do you mean? Because she was hysterical. He was focused on just consoling her. So about a year or two goes by. Uncle still missing. He is a missing person. Never seen again, okay? So my dad says a year or two goes by and he finally asks his mom, what happened that day that Theo came in bleeding from his face? Like, and what did you mean that day, she finally got him? His mama goes on to tell him that when they were both little kids, his mama and his uncle, he had drowned one day at the beach, right? He full on drowned, like they had to resuscitate him and everything, right? He should have died that day. And when they had brought him back, that he talked about a woman in the water. A woman in the water that wanted him as her baby. And that she wailed when he was pulled out of her arms. That's what she said that her brother was saying. I guess her brother, the uncle, was like a kid, like 3 or 4, if I remember correctly, like a little kid. So by saving his uncle, they had taken her baby that she had already claimed, that was already Ocean's, because technically he had died. And the mother said that her brother, the uncle, would always say, because he's a little boy, he would always say, my mom's going to come back for me. My mom's going to come back for me. But he had like grown out of this, like he had forgotten completely about this lady, but nobody else forgot about it, especially the mom. The mom was older than him. My grandma goes on to tell my mom that when the uncle had gotten older, they had brought this up to him and he had no recollection of this lady. They had no idea what he was talking about. So they thought that was that, but they had always warned him when he was out in the water to please be mindful, please be careful, because she's out there. She claimed you. And he would always just laugh it off. She said that day, though, that day that his uncle went out to the ocean, she had came back for him. And that the only reason that he was alive is because
he fought her and pierced her. He had a knife in his boot, and that's the only thing that saved him. He had to pierce her. And she said that her brother said, the uncle, that when he saw her in the water, he first thought it was like a little girl, because he said he wasn't too far from the shore. So he said for some reason he thought it was a little girl in the water. He heard laughing. So he went to like go help this little girl. And he said when he saw her face that he immediately remembered everything that had happened to him when he was 4 years old. And he knew he was in danger. And the mom said that when he was telling the story to the mom, that as soon as he had come to the realization that he was in danger, she had attacked him. So he had to literally fight for his life that day to come back home. But my mom said he was already marked, that she's pretty sure that he had sleptwalked, which was really him hearing her song, her siren song, and went to the ocean, and she claimed him. And that's like the little legend that is passed down in my story. But he really is a missing person. Nobody knows what happened to Tio Roberto. Half of my family thinks he got too drunk one day and unalived himself and threw himself in the ocean. And the other half think she came back for him. What do you guys think?
A fisherman named Jack emailed me, and he told me he's seen a siren in deep waters twice, and he's starting to have feelings for her. He said he has not told anyone in his real life, including his wife, but he thinks that if anyone's going to believe him, it's going to be me and the people on this channel. So I'm going to tell you what he said. Jack is not his real name, by the way, but he said he's been a fisherman for 18 years. His father did it before him, his grandfather before that, and it's not pretty work, but it's honest. It's long days and even longer nights. He's out of Gloucester, Massachusetts. I'm probably butchering that. I'm so sorry. And he runs a gill netter. I think that's a type of boat, and he hauls mostly cod and haddock. In his email, he said, I always thought I'd die on the water someday, but now I think I know how. And that, honestly, when I read that, just like shook me. He said the first time he saw her was sometime last year. He was standing by the rail on the boat. They were hauling in the last set of the day. I think that means the last catch of the day. They were about 10 miles off the coast of Thatcher Island, if that's familiar to anyone. He's standing there stretching, and he sees something bobbing in the water. And he doesn't really think anything of it because he thinks it's just a marine animal. But in a matter of seconds, it bobbed closer to the boat, and it had a woman's face, and she was pale. He said she had long black hair that floated behind her. At first, he actually thought it was seaweed. And he said her eyes, Jesus, her eyes weren't right. He said her eyes were too dark, too deep. He said, I swear to you, Ashley, it was like her eyes were peeling me open. So he was just staring at her. He said he couldn't move, even though he wanted to call out to the other guys or take his phone out or do something. And then she smiled at him, but it wasn't a friendly smile. He said it was insidious, like she knew something he didn't. Then she disappeared under the water. It was like a split second, like she was gone. Then the boat started acting weird. Their GPS cut out for no reason. Their radios weren't working properly. A couple weeks later, he thought he heard a woman humming on the deck, but he was alone. He said he thought he was just tired and losing it a little bit. They were working a lot, and he does not believe in sirens or mermaids or anything like that. But then he saw her again. He said they were out past Stellwagen Bank. None of this is familiar to me, so I'm so sorry. Please, somebody correct me. He said it was a calm night, barely a ripple on the water. He's out on the boat having a smoke. He said it was dead silent except for the lapping of the water against the boat, and he looks out, and about 10 yards away, he sees her again, just floating there looking at him. And he said then she whispered his name. He said even though she was far away, he heard it like it was somebody whispering right in his ear. He said he had chills head to toe. He says he hasn't seen her since, but there's an old fisherman's tale among old timers in his area and the people he grew up with, which is once a siren sets her eyes on you, you're marked. He said that they say that you can go inland, get as far away from the water as you want, but it doesn't matter. She'll call you back. And when you go, you don't come home. Now, the thing is, even though he hasn't seen her, he admitted in his email that he has started to have dreams about her face floating in the water. But he's not disgusted by it. He's curious. He wants to see her again. He said when his wife kisses him now, he kind of recoils because he feels like he's cheating on this woman floating in the water. He said he's not told his crew. He has not told his wife. That's part of the reason he wanted to be anonymous. He says he doesn't know what she wants, but he knows she's waiting. He said he will be going back on the water because that's his job. That's his family's livelihood. And he doesn't know if he can resist her. A couple things about this. This story was actually sent in to me in December. So I hadn't actually even gotten to this email yet. I searched my inbox because somebody yesterday had said, oh, do you have any stories about mermaids or sirens? So I searched both terms. And this is the only story that I have related to either of those topics. I hope Jack is okay. I haven't heard from him since. I obviously emailed him back this morning saying I was going to cover his story. But yeah, I don't even know if he knows I'm making this video or if he'll see this video, but let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's just his mind playing tricks on him? I feel like I've heard that if someone's out at sea for a long time, you start seeing things like the same as if you're in the desert, you start hallucinating. But I told my husband I was going to do this video, and I read him the email, and he was like, oh, there was a video a couple months ago that went pretty viral of a guy who caught a siren singing. So I looked it up, and it's in the same area. I don't know the same area specifically in the ocean, but it's off the coast of Massachusetts. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Also, I have a siren tattoo. See? Anyway, keep sending me your spooky, scary stories.
People aren't scared enough of the ocean, and I'm here to fix that. Welcome back to another episode of Why I Stay on Land, where I give you self-inflicted thalassophobia right before bed. So we're going to talk about sirens again, because y'all know I love to get into the siren tea. I saw a video by this other creator, Ashley Inc. One of her followers sent her a story, and oh my gosh, African mermaid stories are insane. Honestly, not even just African, Caribbean stories. I'm Haitian. Y'all know we got some good siren stories. Philippines, like it goes on and on, but this one right here is insane because of what I'm going to say at the end of this video. So basically, she has a follower named Ibuka. Ibuka goes to a private school, right? This is in the 90s. He goes to a private school with a bunch of rich kids, and there's like a riverbank. And I said the ocean in the beginning of this, but we're talking about a river. Basically all bodies of water. Again, why I stay on land. So there is a chain stopping the kids from going to the riverbank, right? And they listened back then. So not many kids would like be defiant and go to the river anyway, except for one day, one of his female classmates starts walking towards the river. And even though everybody's screaming her name and telling her not to go, she still goes and into the water and just disappears. Now, after the kids rush over there and they see no trace of her, they end up going to tell the teacher. Teacher tells the dad. Dad was really rich, so he sent out like a whole bunch of professional divers, like as many people as possible, to go find his daughter. Nothing. Okay. They put up like a metal fence or metal net to keep the kids from going to the river. Weeks later, the girl ends up coming up out of that water and approaching the children, and they all run and get the teachers. They're all talking to her like, hey, what happened? Turns out she's deaf. For months afterwards, she was just obsessed with drawing mermaids and like underwater civilization and crowns and jewelry. And y'all know about the rules of the sirens, how they love jewelry, like don't wear jewelry in the water, in the ocean, or else they're going to take it as like a sacrifice or a gift or whatever. I'm telling y'all that, like, and then on top of that, what I was gonna say at the end of the video is that in her comment section, there are literally people from that same town that were coming to the video being like, hey, yeah, this actually happened. And yeah, it could be anyone just saying that, but I don't know. I just believe it. Like I said, y'all, you could literally tell me Bikini Bottom exists and I will believe you. I will give you benefit of doubt because the ocean is just that crazy. We literally know nothing about that place. The rivers, the lakes, like don't even get me started on Lake Michigan. Don't. The Lake Michigan Triangle. Don't. Anyway, sweet dreams.
This was a crazy rabbit hole to go down. I'm like, oh my gosh, at every twist and turn. So there's this man named Sauce, and I don't know what his occupation is, but from season to season, he's on a boat in the middle of the ocean. He would post videos about how he'd be hearing sounds come from the ocean. And when I say sounds, I mean like they sound like calls, like he was being called. To me, they sound like whales, like not whales, like, you know, the mammal, but whales like from a banshee kinda. So very frequently, like he would hear damn near all the time from what it is that I just got finished, you know, rabbit holing. We would be hearing these calls and these sounds come from the ocean, and we all, because I'm a part of the we all just assumed that it's a siren. To put it simply, a siren is a mythological sea creature that is in the same family as a mermaid and has the ability of influence, whether that's telepathically or that's, you know, you hearing them sing a song. They lure people to their deaths, or at least that's how the lore goes. He's had so many interactions with these sirens, and it's actually just really like crazy when you watch the videos, right? His name is Sauce90 if you want to go watch them for yourself. But there was this one time he was on live and he's showing people that he's on a boat and it's dark outside, there's nothing in his surroundings, there's nobody out there, but they're hearing, like we're all here. Well, I wasn't on live, but in the video, I felt like I was a part of the live because it was a screen recording. We're all hearing the wails of the siren, and it's just like you can definitely tell like there is something out there. Some people pointed out in the comments of that video that they could see a figure in the water, and then when some people, they slowed it down and they paused it, you could see a figure in the water. That wasn't the first time or the only time that a figure was seen in the water around the same times as the calls being heard, or mysterious interactions being felt. Because there was one time that he was like laying down in the bed. That's that ADHD. He was laying down in the bed and he's hearing bumps from the outside of the ship. Going back to the live though, they spotted a figure in the water and you could see it. Like it almost looks like head, shoulders, knees and toes. Looks like a head and shoulders from what it is that I look like. Some people were like, oh, like I see arms. I ain't see no arms. I just saw a head and shoulders. It was primarily slowed down screen recordings, so you kind of can't really see, you know, as crystal clear as you would like, but you could definitely still see a figure. In the same live, you could hear the sirens calling his name. They're saying, Ryan. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm literally watching the playback and I'm like, why does it sound like they're saying a name? They were saying a name. I saw somebody swipe up and they're like, they're saying your name, Ryan. I'm like, his name is Ryan because I was just hearing Ryan. All right, you gotta go watch this video. And here's what really got me. Here's one of the things that really got me. He's recording a video. There's a crab in front of him. He's like, you know, what's up, Mr. Krabs? I'm about to throw you back to the sea because we ain't gonna eat you today. You're gonna live to see another night. He tossed Mr. Krabs' ass back to the Krusty, back to Pearl. Why was there another crab that was thrown on the boat? A crab was thrown on the boat after he tossed the crab that was in front of him. He was on live when it happened too. I'm like, what? Well, I'm watching a screen recording, so I'm like, what? Like I was saying, how that was one of the things that got me. The second thing that got me is that he kept getting banned from TikTok. He kept getting banned. He kept getting his page taken down. He kept getting violations. They were trying to keep his ass off this app. Then another thing that I just find so not captivating, but like I'm like, bro, like I'm tuned in. The government ended up showing up a day after he posted one of his videos of hearing a siren in the ocean. Recorded a video of like the government actually coming and them having a container, and I'm assuming that they were taking stuff, they were confiscating shit. I'm like, what is going on? He was like, what is going on too? We were all like, what is going on? Showed up one summer, and then based off of a live that I watched, they showed up another summer. So like, you remember how I was saying like he be out there seasonally? Yeah. They popped up 2 summers in a row. Y'all have to go watch his videos. Okay? Y'all have to go watch his video. From what it is that I know now, he doesn't make as much siren content, but that's Mermaid Man, no barnacle boy, I'm telling you. Something that's so trippy to me is that in the videos, like, you can hear the sirens like calling him. There was a video where you could hear the siren calling for him to go in the ocean. And then he was talking about how whenever he would go home, like he would have dreams of the sirens, and how like there would be moments where he closed his eyes and the after images that he saw was like basically him being with the siren. After images are you still being able to see what it is that you were seeing before you closed your eyes. So like say you look at a light and you close your eyes, you still see the light when your eyes are closed. Yeah, it's basically that. Personally, I feel like that was an imprint, but that also could have been a multitude of other things, you know. There was a live where he was giving objects or an object to the sirens. I think he was just like, you know, just trying to be like lighthearted and stuff. I saw that as he was giving an offering to the water, either the water spirits, or he was giving an offering to the sirens. That's just how I saw it. It didn't necessarily seem like he thought about it that way, but people were in the comments that were saying like, oh, like y'all should go watch his videos. I believe that he's known on all platforms as Sauce90. Okay.
Let's talk about the Egyptian siren. And her name is El-Neteha. And her name stands for the caller. Now, Egyptian legend has it that she is a female water spirit who calls men to the Nile, which leads them to their death or disappearances. Now let's talk about it. Now this legend is popular in the rural or agricultural based areas in Egypt, along the Nile and the Nile's water canal. And the exact origin of this legend is unknown. But there has been stories of this legend all through Egypt for years now. But the myth has become less popular in more of the urban areas now. But she takes the form of a stunningly beautiful woman who will appear walking up and down the Nile or in the water sometimes. And what she would do is she would call the man that she wants or whatever she want to do to that man. She'll call them by their name gently. And the man will basically become speechless and hypnotized and obedient to her voice, and he'll blindly follow it, while the other men might be unaffected and will attempt to pull the man back. So let's just say it's a group of men and he only hears his name. The other men will literally try to pull him back because they already know what's going on. But men that know this story and know this legend, they usually don't even get close enough to the Nile to know what the creature even looks like, because they already know once she calls your name, you're basically a goner. But the ones who have made it out, they say she is extremely beautiful with long black flowy hair, and she is tall and very slender. But she kind of reminds me of the weeping woman of Mexico, if you want to be honest. But she's more so of a siren because she's connected with the water and she's very beautiful and enchanting. And they say she'll basically be standing by the Nile or the canals in different like water areas, but mainly the Nile, wearing a long, flowy, white or transparent dress. But in some tales, they say that the creature can call men while they're at home too, especially if they live by the shores of the Nile in the Nile's water canals. And they'll basically eagerly attempt to leave home for her. And in other tales, the affected men will not eagerly try to follow her, but they'll basically enter a state of like a disturbed distraction for at least a few nights before they depart to go looking for her. And some of the people in the royal areas of Egypt believe if a man is called by her, he is doomed, and curing them is often impossible. But many old local citizens believe she consumes or pulls her victims into the Nile and drown them. So no, she is not depicted as a big mermaid fish, but she is a water spirit that dwells along the canals in the Nile River of Egypt. And she is considered a siren because she lures men to their deaths with her beauty, her voice, and her songs. So let me know if y'all heard this legend, and stay tuned for more of my mermaid and siren stories from across the globe. And don't forget to comment some more countries and areas y'all want me to discuss next.
Mermaids, sirens. Okay, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. My entire For You page right now is about mermaids like seen off the coast of like Connecticut. So I started looking through my, my emails, found one too. The guy that sent this in didn't want his name said, so we're just going to say Tommy. He'd been fishing off the coast, of New England for 30 years. He knew the waters better than he knew himself. He said that the ocean has a way of telling you what's going to happen if you listen close enough. I'm listening, tell me. Birds will get quiet before a storm, and that the waters will change if something big is moving underneath them. This particular night, there was no warning at all. Nothing that made him be like, It was a calm night. It was just after midnight, and he was on the boat by himself about 5 miles off the coast. The sea was smooth as glass. The only creek was like the hole on this boat, just a normal, quiet, peaceful night. Just cast his line in when he saw something moving in the water. At first, he thought it was just like a school of fish that were like moving, that had broke like the surface of the water, but then he noticed something was off. The shape of it was all wrong. It wasn't like a mass of little bodies. It was one big body. It had a face, and it just happened to be looking like right at him. Lower half of the body was submerged. The rest was up. It was like looking at him. He said the eyes were like off, too dark, too sunken in, too big, completely aware of Tommy being on that boat. She's like looking at him, he's looking at her. They just kind of sat there like frozen for a minute. Then she starts to lift up out. Water just rolled off of her like oil, that the water looked black against her like really pale skin. Long dark hair, it like clung, stuck to her face, and like her mouth was slightly parted. And he said he should have been scared, but he wasn't. I am, Tommy, I am. Everything in his mind was telling him to run, but instead he just kind of stood there. Because he said that even though her face looked weird and off or whatever, that she was beautiful. Then he said, and this is kind of weird, okay, just between us. Then he said, not in the way that a woman is beautiful, but in the way the sea is. And I was like, okay, we listen and we don't judge. She looked like vast. He described her vast like the ocean and unknowable and dangerous. Then he saw her teeth and was like, "Arr!" They were small, sharp, and needle-like. She had way too many in her mouth, like they were just jam-packed in there. He said. First thing that came to Tommy's mind was predator teeth, the kind of teeth made for tearing, not speaking. Like lifted her hand up, she had like webbing through this part, like at the very bottom, like they were all webbed together, and she was like reaching towards the boat, and he was still just standing there. I'm like, run, Tommy, run. That the water like around her was not rippling like it should have been. It was like she was standing on something. So it was just like still. It was like Ariel up in there. She was like, oh, starts singing, right? He said, no, this wasn't like the songs like you hear like in the fairy tales or in the stories. This was like a bunch of notes all happening at once and all like, harmonizing. That's when the air started to shift and things got weird. I'm like, sir, you're just now in your email describing this is when things got weird? They've been weird, Tommy. They've been weird. He described the twisty, naughty, like tune, like it was digging, he says, his words, a hook into the back of my and pulling me towards. Are the words,
come closer.
No one Tommy probably did. Let's keep going. I was wrong. He said, I didn't hear the words. I felt them slipping into my bones, curling around my thoughts like seaweed. He leaned forward. So he didn't go, but he leaned in like, what's happening? He kind of lost sight for a second. So he's like leaned forward. He's like looking down. And he looks down and he sees her like this.
Come on. Jump down to me. I got you. Come on down here.
I don't think she really said jump, but that's what she was doing. She was like looking up at him like, come on, get in. Something told him not to do it, that the water was like, getting weird and looked even darker, and he could still just hear her song. It was getting, he says, louder and louder, and the water was so close that it felt like he was being pulled in, even though he felt like he hadn't moved. Then she started like conjuring up the elements or something, and he said that the wind like pushed him into the side of the boat, like pushed him closer to her. That's when her face changed. Suddenly what he thought was beauty was gone. She's like gnarly, darked out, like spiky teeth, and like her face is all sunken in, and she's like, come on. Unhinged her jaw and opened her mouth like lunged at him. He grabbed like whatever he could grab, and he like starts swinging at her. This gaff thing that's got the hook on the end, and it catches her in the shoulder. Then she let out this gnarly, horrific scream. Calm sea turned instantly violent. Waves were like slamming into his boat. He fell back, hit his head on the deck. By the time he was able to like, scoot back and climb up and all this stuff, she's gone. He was shaking so hard he could barely collect himself, but he cranked up the engine, got the hell out of there. He still goes out fishing, but he just doesn't go to that area anymore. I'm like, Tommy, boy, my guy, she's still out there. She wants you, she'll find you. Any of you had any stories like that? Because I was like, ugh.
If you hear the siren at the wrong time, don't move, don't speak, and whatever you do, do not look outside. There's a creepy theory called the Siren Protocol. It's a secret emergency system that's set up by the government during classified events. Not natural disasters, not war, but something else. People online have reported hearing this emergency random sirens during the night at exactly 3:33 a.m. However, the next day there's no reports, no updates, no news, no nothing. Just a siren that's followed by silence. In small towns in the US like Alaska, New Mexico, or somewhere else, people report that the time goes missing and they have no idea. They have blurred vision and even see creepy figures walking around at night and weird howls. The creepiest part is that there's a leaked audio from 2019. It was a weird creepy voice that whispered something about the Siren Protocol, stay asleep. However, it was removed from all platforms in less than 48 hours. Some people believe it's mind control and others for secret abductions. But the ones who've survived this say the same thing. Don't be awake when the siren starts.
Have you ever wondered why South Africa has so many unexplained drownings? Let's talk about it, and if you're watching this at night, I'd just save the video and come back tomorrow morning. In South Africa, they don't just believe in sirens, they fear them. There is a waterfall in KwaZulu-Natal called the Howick Falls. Locals don't go there after dark. They say there is a massive shape-shifting water spirit that lives at the bottom. This one calls out your name specifically, and it's called the Inkanyamba. Now, people say that they hear women crying, and when that isn't enough to get them to the water, they hear something whisper, "Come here." Over 40 people have fallen off the cliffs, not slipping, but being pulled to the water. Now, in the Zindlava River, fishermen speak about a beautiful figure sitting on the rocks at night, combing its hair. It's long hair with glowing skin and singing softly. Very soothing, right? But when you get closer, her eyes grow dark, her neck gets so long that it's unnatural. Her smile gets so unnaturally wide that it makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Your body immediately tells you that you're in danger. Not many people have made it back to tell the story, but the ones that do, based on what they saw happen to their friends when they got too close, they call her the Mamlambo, the brain sucker. Now, in another instance in the Eastern Cape, officers once followed what they thought to be a baby crying near the riverbank, which was very strange, so they went to investigate. When they shined their light near the water, a pale face slowly rose up, hair dripping, eyes black. mouth open unnaturally wide with multiple rows of teeth, and a scream so loud, so piercing that they could hear it across the entire valley. The officers ran and they told everyone, so no one could forget that night. Yeah, by the sound of it, South Africa doesn't just have sirens. They have water demons, shapeshifters, ancient beings that still hunt in the rivers. Next time you hear your name coming from the water, don't look, don't answer. Whatever you do, don't follow the sound. This is where sirens come from. I'm about to blow your mind. If you have not read the Book of Enoch, this is gonna come as a shock to you. As a kid, I've always been obsessed, and this isn't just because of The Little Mermaid. I've always been obsessed with mermaids, aka sirens, for the longest. And I always wondered, okay, but what is their lore for real? Like, where do they come from? If they are in the ocean, like, has it just always been here since God's creation from the beginning of time? I know that's not the case because it doesn't say in the Bible that they've been here forever. So how were they made? Where did they come from? Y'all, this is gonna blow your mind. Sirens are the mothers of demons, and I'm gonna explain to you how. Now, I do read the Book of Enoch as history or lore, not scripture. I do not read it as scripture, but it's interesting to know, like, the heavenly history of it. So we already know about the third of the angels that rebelled against God because they wanted to be God, right? So basically, when they came down and they procreated with mortal women, they ended up having an offspring called the Nephilim, aka giants. Now, this wasn't like the big green friendly giant. Like, they were ravenous, Attack on Titan style, y'all. And during this time, it was nothing but calamity and chaos on the earth because of that. And with the fallen angels allegedly mixing DNA and trying to create half human, half animal creatures, which is the reason why I feel like it is true, because you see half human, half animal creatures all throughout mythology in many sectors of it. And if it wasn't true, if it didn't have some truth to it, then why would that be there? Why would it be so consistent? Same with sirens. So at that point, yes, God sends the flood, right? And I always wondered, okay, well, if the fallen angels were dealt with, sorry y'all, these waves are high. Oh my gosh, they're so loud. Sorry y'all, but if the fallen angels were dealt with and the Nephilim drowned in the flood and their disembodied spirits became part of the demonic realm, what happened to the women? The Book of Enoch says that they were cursed to the sea. Their souls were cursed to roam the sea. And if you think about it, it makes so much sense because throughout mythology, sirens have always been, I guess, bitter and trying to increase the demise of men in general by luring them with song. With song, y'all, how we know that Satan is an angel, or was an angel of worship, or an angel of music. So if they're part of the demonic realm, they have the gift of music. Like, y'all, it's connecting. And it would make sense if sirens have this anger and like this eternal just like hatred for men because they were cursed to the sea due to their link to men. No, is it making sense? Like, it's literally insane to think about. And it makes it even more insane to like be in this. I don't really get in the ocean much, to be honest. And that's why I'm wearing like a full outfit in the ocean, because I didn't plan on getting in, but it feels so good. But just knowing that and like thinking about it and looking out into the sea, I'm like, wow, what is really under me right now? What is out there? I always wondered that, but now I feel like I kind of know. And then it introduces you into like the demonic marine kingdom, which technically is not biblical, but I don't know, something about it just makes me feel like it's real. Because what else would be in the ocean? I know it's more than sharks and whales and giant squid. I know it's something else. But yeah, y'all, if you are interested in this kind of stuff, y'all wanted more of this, you wanted more of this content, so here I am in the ocean giving it to you right from the source. As always, make sure you like, follow, comment down below what you guys think.
And a lot of y'all struggle with being a submissive wife because you're a siren. And you might not even know it. You got mermaids running through the maternal line of your family. Your ancestors are connected to oceanic energy, right? A lot of you all will never succeed at being a trad wife in the context of if you're going to get married to a misogynistic, patriarchal man where you got to stroke his ego, you got to make him feel manly. Why the fuck, as a woman, why the fuck I got to make your ass feel manly? Why you don't already feel manly by your damn self? And then on top of that, like, because what the fuck, why do I need to help you feel like a man? Like, why do you only feel like a man based on what a woman gives you or does for you? You should feel like a man. You should feel like yourself, even when nobody else is in the room, okay? Because a lot of men define their manliness around if they have a woman to control, if they have a woman who strokes their ego, if they have a woman who does what they say. For a lot of men, that's what makes them feel like a man, okay? So the reason why a lot of you all struggle with a misogynistic man, a patriarchal man is because you all are spiritually gifted. You're sensitive to energy, aka siren. Okay, look at the sea, right? Because sirens, to be a present day siren or a modern day mermaid, that just means you are a feminine person who carries the frequency of the sea. The sea don't submit to nobody, bitch. You better get with the motherfucking water goddess program. Sink or swim, bitch. Do you know that for a lot of y'all ancestors, the reason why the houses were not led by men or masculine people is because whoever had the menstrual cycle was the clock, was the god or goddess, and they may not have used those terms, right? Because aren't those English words or something? I don't know, child. Look, a lot of things relied on cycles of the sea. The menstrual cycle is an inner ocean. A lot of people relied on what flow, what state of flow are we in right now? That's why a lot of times when people who have menstrual cycles live together, their cycles will sync up. And that became the household. I would love to learn, where the fuck did we get this idea that men were supposed to lead because they're the only ones that can hear God? If you believe in the idea of just God or goddess, I mean, it would be people who have menstrual cycles would be an example of a god or goddess. It would be people who are able to connect to the spiritual realm. A lot of these misogynistic men, they can't hear from God. We got this idea that they're supposed to lead the household. They don't even know what the fuck is going on. And then they be stressed as hell. Especially for black and brown men, a lot of them be stressed as fuck trying to be patriarchal. Because they also, their ancestors wasn't patriarchal either. And then they're like, damn, this is stressful. Being a man, everybody's expecting me to have all the answers, and I don't fucking have them. Yeah, that shit is fucking stressful. But a lot of men don't want to give up the privilege. They don't want to give up the oppression. They don't want to give up being able to oppress women. They don't want to give up being able to have their ego stroked. They don't want to give that shit up. They don't want to give up what it feels like to have people literally just kiss their ass, all because they are a man. Nothing else. Men don't even have to earn privilege. They don't have to earn patriarchy. It's men out here, they have a patriarchal situation, a patriarchal household. They don't even own the house. They living on their baby mama couch and shit, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, men get to be patriarchal even when they don't fucking work for it. Men get to be patriarchal. People will put up with men being patriarchal and they don't even fucking have jobs. And it's still a woman who feels like, okay, I need to submit, you know, because that's what we've been conditioned to believe, that no matter what, men are still the leaders. We have to listen to men. They know more. No, they don't. They be out here scared as fuck too. Men are not born knowing how to change the oil in a car. That should be scaring the fuck out of a lot of these men. A lot of these men, they don't realize it, but their ancestors is working through them too. And then their ancestors was matriarchal. So patriarchy don't be looking that good for them. They be struggling to be patriarchal. That shit is stressful. Okay? For people who they don't naturally connect to the spirit realm, if they don't naturally have that sensitivity to energy, they be struggling. Overly masculine people who have no real concept of energy, they're not sensitive to nothing, they're not in tune with their feelings, they can't fucking lead nobody. They can't come up with no game plan. They're not sensitive to nothing. They can't feel nothing. They can't feel the vibes. They all dry and shit. Look, I don't know why I'm up. I'm wired up. My dogs woke up at 3 a.m. So now I'm up. The fuck? I was asleep. And now I'm up. And for some reason, I'm feeling the need to really remind y'all, like, submitting to a man is not a solution for a siren, okay? You scared of the economy. You scared because you just turned 30. You're like, okay, I need to find a man. The men is scared too, girl. You better find you some balance, okay? That's what's more important. Find you some balanced people. I'm serious. There's nothing wrong with getting married. There's nothing wrong with loving a man. But there's something wrong with you settling for a man that you know you don't like. He don't like you. Y'all not nice to each other. I'm noticing a lot of people do that. You settling for marriage because you're like, okay, it just needs to look good on paper. No. It needs to look good in general. It needs to be like, you can't, a lot of y'all are abandoning the spiritual for the physical. We need balance. I don't know. This shit's scaring me. And then y'all be wondering why you're dealing with this immense depression because you be in these houses. A lot of y'all don't want to get your own income, or you're dealing with this man, you got to stroke his ego. That shit is a job, okay? Dealing with a man who needs you to stroke his ego. Okay, he want you to submit to anything he got to say. Hell no, what the fuck? We are human beings. We are not designed to just submit to people. Submit to your damn self and find somebody else who's submitting to themselves looks like you submitting to yourself. Like, let me break it down. Submit to yourself what feels like flow for you, and then find people who resonate on that same frequency. That's it. That's what will work. Not, okay, how can I be what this man wants me to be? Huh? That shit is hard as fuck. I'd be at the strip club and I'd just be giggling and laughing and acting like I like these men. That shit hard as hell. I would rather just lay on my back. God. And I did. Because that's emotional labor. And that shit hard as hell for somebody who is emotionally sensitive, okay? You resonate with oceanic energy. That means you're sensitive to energy. Okay? That means you can feel things heavily. And dealing with a misogynistic man, you would need to essentially turn off those feelings. You would need to turn them off. And a lot of feminine people can't do that. So that's why y'all struggling to be a trad wife. I should have just said that in the beginning of the video. So let me try to repeat it. Dealing with settling for a misogynistic man, a patriarchal lifestyle, often requires you to shut down your feelings. But a lot of feminine people cannot do that. So you be struggling. Be like, damn, why am I not able to put up with this man the way other women put up with their man? We be out here having mental health issues and shit because if you marry a man that, you know, misogynistic, patriarchal, he not good to you, he not kind to you. There's no real love there. You did it for materialistic reasons. I want y'all to be careful out here. Your life is delicate. Your life is precious. Please don't do that to yourself. A man would never do that. Even when they leech off of women, they still got multiple women that they do that with. They still got options available and ready for them. Even when men try to live in their soft life era and live off of women, they will have multiple women. They don't close themselves in. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't put all their eggs in one basket. They don't even fucking got eggs. Look, I'm getting irritated. I am specifically talking about non-queer men who want those patriarchal households. That shit don't be working for a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all are high priestesses. That shit don't be working for y'all. A lot of y'all are too tapped in spiritually. That shit do not be working for y'all. As a feminine person, the reason why you're struggling to, you know, settle for a misogynistic marriage, you're struggling to settle with this man. You're like, why can't I just mask myself? Why can I not just, no, because you're not supposed to, because you're a mermaid. I don't know, guys. Read the caption.
Thank you so much if you stay with me to the end of this story. Kindly drop your thoughts in the comment section on how you see the story. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you are new. And thank you so much for my returning subscribers for turning back into my stories once again. I'm so grateful. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.